Jake, are we ready on your end? I've got to do something to get Councilmember Sperry up here, and I figure if we get started, he should come running. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. One of the things, I just want to go over some of the, tonight's a little bit different than what we would usually see. And largely that is because over the weekend, Rocky Mountain Power let us know that we are going to lose power to this building tonight at 11 p.m. so they can do, I believe it's replacing some power poles. So they had told us they were going to do work in around the park area. We knew that was happening, and over the weekend they said, oh, by the way, it'll be from the park all the way to, park to, we're going to lose power here at 11. Our IT is requesting, because our city does hold so much data, just shutting off all the power can really screw things up, and we could make everything damage the data that we hold for our residents. And so they need about 2 hours to power down, which means that we need to be out of here by 9 p.m. 2 hours for us can be kind of a quick meeting. So with that in mind, knowing that we need to be out of here by 9 p.m., there's a few things that I'm going to ask the council to do and a few things I want to lay out to the individuals that are here. Knowing that we've got several people that may want to comment on a couple different issues, we do have a general rule that is 3 minutes for comments. For any person has 3 minutes to comment. We are going to stick strictly to that, and that is because, again, we've got to be out of here by 9. We want to make sure that we can make sure that anybody who wants to speak is heard, but also that we can get through as much of our agenda as possible before that 9 o'clock time. So a strict 3 minutes per person. With that, Council, I'm going to ask that we move around some different items. One of those is once we get through our general business here, so once we get through the Unified Fire part of this agenda, I'm going to ask that we motion to move, because we do have 2 public hearings tonight that we need to make sure we get through before 9 p.m. tonight, that we do those first. So a request that we'll first do our 2 public hearings and then move to general public comments. So if you were here regarding a mural, that would be for general public comments, or if you're here regarding a rezone, that is what I'm asking the council that we push forward as soon as we get through just a couple of these first items. Council, any questions on that? Great. With that, Rory, will you call roll?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. We need to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry. Please stand with me and repeat it. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was really getting excited there. Rory, will you call roll?
Yes, Councilmember Robinson. Here. Gettle.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Sperry.
Here.
And Glover.
Here.
All right, thank you. With that, I'm going to invite up our Chief Larson and our new Unified Fire Chief, Chief Burchett.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My report's going to be very brief. I would like to introduce Chief Dominic Burchett. He's requested to speak to you for a few minutes, introduce himself. As you know, he's been our chief for 8 months? Since April. And so with that, I'm pleased to introduce Chief Dominic Burchett.
Thank you. Thanks for being with us, Chief.
Thanks, Brad. Mayor, council, and staff, thanks for this opportunity. Like Brad mentioned, I'm going to just take a few minutes to introduce myself. I haven't met all of you face-to-face yet, but that's part of this, is it allow some question and answers as well if you have those, but I know you're rushed for time tonight, so I'll get through this pretty quickly. So in April, I was appointed as the 14th fire chief for Unified Fire Authority, replacing Dan Peterson. I started my career in 1997 as a wildland firefighter. And over my 20-plus year career, I've spent time as a paramedic, a captain, division chief, and most recently as an assistant chief. And that's when I was working with the council on the fire station just across the street there. I am married and I have 5 kids. And that's as personal as I'm going to get with you. So we're busy at home with 5 kids. When I was appointed as a fire chief, I laid out a 100-day plan, and the mayor's heard me talk about that many times in our board meetings. But that 100-day plan was really to get out and meet everybody that we interact with, and mostly my staff. The last part of this 100-day plan is this, meeting face-to-face with the councils and putting a face with my name. What I did with that 100-day plan is I kind of prioritized all of the action items into a 1, 3, and 5-year plan that I have laid out for my staff and I to start working towards completing. And really what those fall into 3 categories. With the health and well-being of our people, that's something that the fire service hasn't been particularly good at in a proactive way. So I'm hoping to focus heavily on the health and wellness of our folks so that we can have a good, healthy workforce to work for you. The second one is the communities that we serve. As you may know, we serve 15 municipalities plus Salt Lake County, unincorporated Salt Lake County. So that's a pretty complicated organization that we have. What it requires is me to be aware of what's happening in the communities and make sure that we're providing the best service for you and what you expect for your communities. And part of that is Chief Larson as the liaison. He's your direct point of contact and has access to me to let me know exactly what I'm missing potentially. And then the last thing is continuous improvement. So as I mentioned, Chief Peterson is who I replaced. He came in with a mission to fix our organization. We were having some issues 6+ years ago, and his job was to come in and fix us structurally, is how I put it. And so for me, he set me up in a lot of ways for success because all the groundwork has been done. But that doesn't mean we can't keep improving. So my focus is continuous improvement to make sure that we're taking the fire service into the next phase of that and constantly looking for ways to improve. So that's it, short and sweet, but I'm really happy to be here and thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'll just say, I'm new to the Unified Fire Board, came in right as Chief Peterson was going out. But I know that I think Chief Burchett feels that you've got some big shoes to fill, and you've been doing a great job, highly respected by the board and clearly everybody who works for UFA. So thank you for everything that you do, and we're really excited to have you in that position.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. With that, this is when I would ask that we make a motion to move the public hearings to now in the agenda.
Mayor, I would like to move that we proceed to agenda item 6, public hearings, and come back to agenda item 2, public comments at a later time tonight.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Yes.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, that carries, and we will move into our public hearing, item A. Consider rezoning property located at 7488 South Casablanca Drive from regional commercial to multifamily residential medium to high density to allow for a proposed 8-unit townhome project. Is there a motion to go into a public hearing?
Mayor, I move that we go into a public hearing.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We'll hear from Adam Olson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item is the rezone request. The address is 7488 South Casablanca Street. This is the vicinity map. You can see it's the triangular piece of property kind of on the east-southeast side of 9th East where it makes that bend near Hillcrest High. There's a home that's existing on the property that's been vacant for quite some time. With the rezone, the proposed site plan that is also goes along with the development agreement, I just put this on for reference. It's a proposed 8-unit townhome project. You can see that the access is off of 9th. There is to be no access off of Casablanca. That was noted in a previous city council meeting. This came before the council in April of 2021. At that meeting, it was tabled. The rezone request was tabled with the direction to the applicant to work, to come up with a development agreement, and then it would be ready to move forward again. So we've worked with the applicant to formulate a development agreement. It's been reviewed by our legal and again looked at by the applicant, and it's now ready to move forward. And that's why we are back tonight. These are just, again, for reference purposes, just for some information. These are some elevations of the proposed townhome product. This is from looking from 9th. And then the rear with the garages in back. So as far as the rezone goes, there's a potential recommended motion with an accompanying ordinance number for the rezone. And I wanted to also just briefly discuss the development agreement because they run hand in hand. And so rather than bifurcate and split them up, I just wanted to quickly go over that because that was a condition of tabling of the rezone request. Again, here's the concept plan, the site plan that goes with the development agreement, the elevations. There is a condition that if the rezone is approved and then the development agreement is discussed, there's a section in the development agreement that needs to be adjusted, and that's section 1.2. Because it currently states that garbage collection will be serviced off of Casablanca as referenced in Exhibit B. However, Exhibit B, which is this, shows no such access point, and it was stipulated in the previous council meeting that there be no access whatsoever from Casablanca. And so that is just something that we would ask for clarification prior to any signatures. And with that, I can answer any questions.
I have a quick question. Will there be parking on 9th East? Will people be able to park on 9th East, or will it be red curbed?
No, I don't know if it'll be red curbed, but they've got sufficient parking with what's on site, and each unit has a 2-car garage.
Right, but if a guest comes over, can they park on 9th East?
Technically, there's enough guest parking on site. If it's if it's painted red, then obviously no, but that's something that we could work out with or discuss with engineering.
I guess I think I'm being clear, but maybe I'm not. Whether not accounting for what's in the development agreement already, if there's parking on 9th East, that would help alleviate if guests come over or something along those
Yeah,
lines.
if it's not red curbed, then
I would prefer to not.
in theory
have
someone
it
could park there.
be,
Yeah.
but I don't know what the conditions like over there to support it or not.
Yeah.
But that, if you could fit an extra like nine or 10 cars there, right, that would probably make it less likely someone will park in the Casablanca.
Correct. Yeah, and especially since there's no
Yeah.
access from Casablanca to the site.
The only real problem with that
Yeah.
is they're probably backing out onto 9th East. And if they've got cars parked, it's gonna become a problem as far as safety.
Right, that's why I don't know what the curb's like there.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm just saying that needs to be looked at.
The access point onto 9th is such that it will be, no one would have to back onto 9th.
Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna park,
But
on the proposal, they'd be parking behind the buildings, so they're coming out front ways, not backing out.
Facing front onto 9th.
But if you had cars parked there, you've got an extra bigger area that they could get hit coming out. I don't know, maybe
Yeah, it takes away your
maybe
line of
that's not a
sight.
problem.
If you go a little north of that, on the other side of the apartment complex, it has been painted red because there was another project, as people were coming out, it was hard to see when cars were parked there.
I'd just like engineering to look at that, just to
For
make
sure.
sure we don't create a,
And again, that would be something that would be looked at in greater detail with any site plan. So should the rezone be approved in the development agreement, then we dive into the details of the site plan, and that's where engineering gets heavily involved.
okay?
Other questions, comments for Adam?
So, Adam, I know you and I've talked about some of these things, but not everybody has. I know one of the concerns of the residents is, you know, years ago, they put in a lot of effort to get that roadway closed, right, with the sound barrier wall. And, I mean, there's no plans in the works, we're not aware of anything to try to open that back up, right?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I mean, I know that's a great concern, so I want to get it out there so that people who are here, they're aware. You know, there hasn't been a request here to try to do that.
Not that I've seen, no.
Adam, can you just touch on the fire access? And I'm just looking at this, and unless I'm doing this incorrectly, it says that the fire lane is off of 9th East there and partially behind it. I don't know if you have the images there.
Is it this one on the screen, or is it a different one that
It's,
you're looking at?
I don't know if you can see this.
Oh, that
but
was
it's
for
the-
reference. I don't have that one available on a slide, so.
So
And those were addressing initial comments that went out with a preliminary review, and so that's likely where that's coming from.
okay.
Again, that would be looked at in more detail, but I can see it. I know the image you're referencing.
And I'm
can't
just
pull it up
wondering,
here.
because if it says fire lane off of 9th East, and we're talking about
Then likely
red
there would be no
curb,
parking if
yeah,
it's for
then
fire.
it would be red curb.
They would probably make that a condition if this moved forward at the site plan stage.
There's a lot of interchangeable words here, townhomes, apartments. Is this a for sale townhome project?
From what I've been told, it will be. They intend to do a condo plat should it move forward. The inconsistencies are there, and so one thing that I would ask for any project moving forward is that the naming be consistent, whether it's condo or townhome. That there's not, I mean, right now one says apartment, one says condo, one says townhome. So one of those needs to stand. And in the, I believe in the development agreement, it's called out as condominiums, and so I'd request that that carry through.
And they're for sale units?
That's what
The plan, yeah.
Yeah, that's what the plan is. I believe the developers are here. We can have them come forward too.
He's
Yeah.
raising his hand.
Yeah, do you want to come answer that real quick?
Hi, my name is Jeff Muharrab. These are for sale units. And in the last 4 years, we have done whatever is asked us. So the main thing was that close the Casablanca off. It's totally closed now. So with this project, so
Thank you for listening.
sure.
I think it's generally a cool plan. It's different. It seems like it follows a lot of the requests that were made when it was something different than before, including the access, off of 9th opposed to Casablanca. My only, I don't know if concern or thought is Unit 1 or Unit A, it kind of bounces back and forth as like a 5 or 6 bedroom unit. And I think that parking will be a little bit of an issue for that many bedrooms. I don't know a lot of people that would,
It's not 5, 6 bedrooms. It's maximum 3 bedrooms.
I think Unit 1 is.
Oh, at once was bigger than this. Yes.
Yeah,
You're talking about
the one on the
previous-
end, yeah.
The previous one.
And I think that could cause, if someone buys it and rents out half the rooms to their friend or something, that's 3 or 4 parking spots. That's why I was asking about the 9th East parking situation, is mainly because of that unit.
And we have, I believe we have the engineers here, if you'd like to ask a question from him, but it's been designed that all the parking be on the side or underneath as garages. But there are also guest parking. I believe it's 5, am I right?
It's meant that they exceed it.
Yeah, it's exceeded the requirements even. So no parking is gonna be on 9 East or anywhere else.
So I've got a few questions. One going along with Councilmember Brown's comment about, in different pages, it's labeled an apartment, townhome, condo. It's a for sale product, which would bring it, townhome can be, a townhome style building can be a planned unit development or condo, right? And is there a specific reason why you're calling this a condo project instead of a planned unit development. I mean,
That's
as developers, I mean, I deal with this every day, right? So I know some developers, they go condos for financing. If you don't have a specific reason, if it got approved, I would say do a PUD.
Maybe Mr. Tabriz can
It's
answer
just,
that.
it's just a townhome project,
Okay.
you know, single-family attached townhome project.
And sir, will you just state your name for the record so we've got that?
Satar Tabriz.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the vote's going to go. I mean, if it's approved, I would, you know, just for the long term, the people that would live there, they were gonna want a planned unit development just for regulatory purposes with the HOA. Because otherwise, they call somebody like me and say, we want to convert from a condo to a PUD, which is almost impossible down the road.
There's gonna be an HOA associated with this project.
Yeah, I'm just saying, do it as a planned unit development, not a condo. They will appreciate it later if it's approved. The other thing is, when we were here before, one of the things we asked, I mean, I know the plans have addressed a lot of the concerns that were expressed, but we did ask for you to meet with the neighbors. Can you go into what efforts were made to communicate with the neighbors, address further concerns that they had?
I had met with the neighbors, and that's the main concern, that they have traffic through Casablanca, the neighborhood, and that has been met.
Well, you heard from them in the meeting. Did you have a meeting with them outside of the council meeting
Yes,
after the second proposal?
yes,
How many people were at the meeting?
2.
Do you know who they were?
And I apologize for my memory.
I'm asking because I'm being told that.
Yes,
there weren't people there.
I might have
Okay.
look in the my phone, maybe.
Well, we had a couple people raise their hands, so it's probably those 2 people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, those.
Can I make one point of clarification?
We'll
Well,
have,
you'll have a
comment.
chance, yeah.
Yeah, in a little bit, once we're done.
Yeah, I apologize.
That's okay.
So I know another thing that'll come up, I mean, it's been sent to us and the individuals here, and so she may bring it in her public comment, but on the fencing running along the south side, because as you get to the further east, it's a cinder block wall. Have you considered that, of tying, instead of doing a vinyl fence on that south side, tying it into the cinder block wall? And so it's cinder block, continuing that all the way to 9th East, so it's consistent?
You're talking about the further south, and
Yeah.
never, no.
Okay. Is that, I mean, that's gonna be one of their concerns.
We will match
so.
the existing fence. We will
And
match-
can you, if you can just come to the mic so anybody online
Yes.
can.
We will match the existing wall on the south side, if that's what you're asking for.
Yeah, you have, so that apartment complex that goes all the way, I mean, from basically 9th to 10th, it has a red block wall.
Yeah.
And then right as you get to this property, it's like 5 feet of vinyl, and then it cuts north to go vinyl, and then the other properties, I think one's vinyl and one's chain link, right? I think what you're gonna hear is them saying, we want that brick wall that runs that entire complex to continue all the way to give that continuity, rather than vinyl.
Well, that's up to the owner, but I'm sure that's something that can be considered.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, we're gonna do nice projects, so we wanna make it as nice as possible, physically looking good. So, what you're talking about, I don't know exactly, but, we'll definitely make it look as nice as possible, if that's the question.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, with that, we are going to move into the public hearing portion of this. If you would like to give public comment on this item, you can step forward to the microphone and state your name for the record. And again, we're going to have, Jake, we can put up a 3-minute timer. Again, we've just got to be hard and fast on this today because we've got the 9 p.m. So you're going to have the timer. 3 minutes goes by pretty fast when you're talking. So, but if anybody would like to make public comment, please come forward. Again, just please state your name for the record.
Chad Thomas, Okay, the wall needs to match the same wall that's on the apartment complex. This is a crime issue. There's been there was an attempted break-in, my vehicle was assaulted, and then the church on Chapel Hill, all the windows were broken out. There's a lot of crime in this area right now, and we need to mitigate that as best we can. They talk about making a nice project. I don't know if you've driven by that, but they don't secure the doors. They're spray painted. It makes Midvale look like a ghetto. They have done nothing to try and keep that safe and deter crime away from that area. And you would think that that would be something that they would want to do to make the neighbors happy, but they have done nothing. I was going to call the police on that to say, hey, what do we do about this spray paint? But then I've already had my own incident that they don't have time to do that, so it's worthless. We need to keep that little pocket safe, because with the amount of people that are in here now, it's getting dangerous, more dangerous with every day. I talked about they don't do anything to keep it nice. Yeah, it's really just a safety issue. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I would like to just comment. I would just like us to refrain from calling planned projects ghettos, just generally. I know you don't mean it in any sense of the way. Yeah, I know, but the correlation can sometimes be very negative. So, I totally get what you're saying, but, let's just, let's talk about it and we can move forward.
Come on up. And again, just please state your name for the record.
Sure. My name's Jeannie O'Hara. I live at 818 Casa Negra. I'm at the end of that street, and I was one of the two people the petitioner spoke with. I think it's important to know that he made zero effort to reach out to us. My neighbor, Mike Densley, reached out to him on multiple occasions. We met in my driveway. We talked about my concerns, our concerns. Parking was a big one. Obviously, 9th East being an entryway, that was a big one as well. There were multiple discussion points about parking on 9th East. Right now, it's kind of confusing. There are parts of 9th East where you can park, and there are parts where you can't. I'm guessing with this plan, if this were to be approved, you would not be allowed to park there. If there really is a 5-bedroom unit, I can pretty much guarantee it's going to be rented, which means 10 cars, likely. Where are those 10 cars going to park? There are no driveways in that image. There are garages. That's great. There are 5 parking spaces, I think is what I saw. That means everyone else is going to find somewhere else to park, and that means in front of my house. And that means walking through that brick wall and onto traffic. And that road, I don't know if you guys have driven 9th East since that large apartment complex has gone in. It is a nightmare. I hear accidents probably about once a month at that light. This is only going to make this worse. So I have concerns about parking, as the plans still are. I appreciate that some of the changes have been implemented. I use the term listen loosely. There were some things that we talked about that seem to have been implemented. The entryway from 9th East appears to be a big one. That was a big issue for us. The garbage and the hydrant being moved, I believe from what it looked like that has happened, so that is appreciated. I still don't think high-density housing is a great idea for this small lot. It was intended to be single-family housing based on the house that's there, and that has been poorly maintained, as previously mentioned. Quite frankly, I'm skeptical that the petitioner will follow the path that he's indicated. So should this be approved, I respectfully request that this agreement be very specific about a wall, not a fence that can be easily climbed, but a wall that he hold to the units that he's indicated, that parking be seriously looked at, and hopefully 9th East, I appreciate your additional questions, Councilmember, about parking. I think that's a big issue given our neighborhood as it is. So I appreciate you guys taking the time and sincerely asking the questions to dive into this, and we appreciate you listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, please state your name for the record.
Hello, I'm James Clark. I live at 937 Casa Negra Avenue, so I live about a block east. I've lived there for 40 years, and so have a feel for the neighborhood. And there's 3 things I want to discuss in my 3 minutes. The one I believe has already been, first of all, I want to compliment the owner and the builder for working with the neighborhood And they have the right to build something, right? And they have the right to build whatever it is that fits the law and fits the neighborhood and fits the zoning requirements. And so we want to just make sure that those things are followed, and you can feel the importance of the neighborhood on something going in that's worrisome to them. No egress on Casa Blanca from the street or from the development. That's been stated again tonight, and that just has to be absolutely a given. There needs to be no access for anybody there. So that's sounds like that's taken care of. There's a saying, good fences make good neighbors, okay? And I think it's true in this situation. And I live on Casa Negra, where we have the block wall, a concrete masonry wall, whatever it is. And that was supposed to be 6 feet tall, and the county moved it to 8 feet when Royal Ridge was built. And didn't cost them much more to build 8 feet because they put a 2-foot footing underneath the, not really a footing, but a stub wall. And so we have a fence between 7 and 8 feet that goes 400 or 500 feet all around, you know. And I don't know what this project's going to cost to build, but $20,000 or $30,000 or whatever it takes to build a few hundred feet of fence, we think is important, and we think that shows good faith on the owner's part. I think that's a really important thing to do, and it's the existing fences are vinyl, and that's just not going to work. So I would ask that be part of the requirement. If this is a CUP, whatever, that's a requirement for this development. The third one is, looks like I got 57 seconds. I'm doing well. You talked about 9th East, that intersection between Casa Negra on 9th East, as it now goes straight west to Hillcrest High School, not be opened. The state owns that road, and the county made that request to close it 1988. And I just was going to ask, maybe you could respond. Does Midvale have any authority to open that road? That intersection?
I'm pretty sure were you going to say no?
Well,
We'd have to work with UDOT to do it, but we could request that to occur, but we can't do it unilaterally.
Yeah, I just don't think, it was closed for a reason.
Sorry, I should be clear on that. We're not going to request, but
okay.
we have to work with them.
It was the only access between 7th East and 13th East, between South Union Avenue and 86 South. 30 years ago, it was absolutely horrible. So we just can't have that road opened.
Thank you. We're going to see if you remember the drill.
My name is Michael Densley. I'll stay within my time, I hope. First thing I just want to mention is that, Mr. Mayor, council members, good things happen when you say no. And as you can tell, I don't know how much you've looked at the plans, this one versus the original ones. These actually are better designs. So sometimes it is good to say no and push back, because you can come up with something better, and developers can come up with something better. Couple things I also want to just mention. Parking obviously is an issue. You know, I don't know how the parking was originally, how they come up with the zoning requirements and whatnot, but I wonder if a lot of times they factor those in with driveways and houses. All too often, unfortunately, we see townhomes without driveways. And so you lose 22 feet times whatever wide of 2-car parking. So in the future, I might request that we think about changing the zoning requirements for parking to include driveways or to increase the amount of parking per unit. One thing we've heard from, and I don't remember the gentleman's name, and I apologize, but the person who was up here and talked about the plans mentioned that there was going to be a developer agreement. The one thing that is, though, he didn't really specify what any of the conditions that were going to be in the developer agreement. Just briefly, I just want to call attention to what some of the things were from the previous council. There were 4 items that were on the list. One of those was obviously entrance from 9th East and not from the neighborhood. The other was moving the trash can to have access from within the property and not within the entrance from the neighborhood. Third thing was the fire hydrant. to be moved so it could be accessed from 9th East, not have to have fire trucks try and wind their way through a neighborhood, creating a lot of excess time. And then the other thing was a wall with no access, no gates, no nothing. I know vinyl fences, it's easier to throw a gate in there, but brick walls and such, it's not. So those are, I just want to make sure that when the development agreement is made, that those 4 stipulations be put in there. Now, I certainly do appreciate the efforts that the developer, the owner have done to, from what I've seen in the plans, to put those in. And I appreciate that. And I would like them to stick to that, or maybe even come up with something a little better floor plan wise, maybe not as many units or something that would make it so that all those concerns could still be addressed, but maybe also even an additional one with parking if, you know, that was to be included. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I
Go ahead.
comment on 2 of those things?
Go for it.
Mike, the development agreement is another agenda item tonight, so that is being discussed. The other one on parking, I mean, I know that's something we brought up about changing our ordinances, right? And that we're still working through that, right? Okay.
Yes.
I'm seeing some heads nod. And change to require more, to clarify, so.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for allowing us to come and talk about our concerns. Positive things. I appreciate.
I'm so sorry. Can you just state your name?
Susan Mathis, excuse me, and I'm on Casa Negra, 893 Casa Negra Avenue, and my husband and I have lived there 45 years. So we have a vested interest in this community. Appreciate totally blocking off Casablanca. That's really important. On the one plan, though, on page 11, it doesn't match. It still shows access for the trash bin off of Casablanca. So I think that one is misplaced. So we need to make sure that that is removed. Appreciate the entrance off of 9th East, the fire hydrant being moved, and building height showing 30 feet. And so we appreciate that because originally it was much higher than that. Closer to the property owners, it was less than 35, but they have made it all the same. So I appreciate that. I've addressed page 11 with the concerns. I think number 1 is the safety in our neighborhood and the safety for the owners of the townhomes. I think we need a brick wall. And I also have a backyard that touches that brick wall with Royal Ridge. And it really is something that is not scaled. It's been permanent, good condition, and that's been there a long time. And so I would appreciate it if they would match that. It goes from Union Village all the way down. There's a small portion of vinyl. I think it would make the aesthetic look a lot more beautiful. They could make it match their gray brick. Also, they have that little triangular picnic area. They want a fence off the front. I think a brick wall would be more secure for them too, and not just have the vinyl. And it looks like it's up high until you get to their entrances. So I would request that it is the brick, and I would hope that it's as tall as what we have behind our home at 8 feet. The second thing is the parking. And I think that's a problem because I know what the parking is like at the apartments, even up at Union Village. And so even though they have small little driveways, there's not a place for visitors. And I know when we have a party at our house, we have quite a few cars out in front. Well, they're not going to have that. It looks like 4 parking stalls, 1 ADA, so that one's out the window unless you have somebody that needs that. And so where are they going to go? If they're not going on 9th East, they're going to come up Casa Negra. And so down by Jeannie's house, and then they're going to walk around because you're going to have access in the front to be able to go to those condos. So I think that's a really big concern, is the parking issue. Last of all, we worked hard as a neighborhood in 1988 to get that closed. Casa Negra was an open street clear from the frontage road at the freeway clear up to 10th East with very little stoppage at all. And we don't want that opened up. We worked hard to get it closed, and we want that to remain. So I appreciate you listening to our concerns. They're important to us and important to our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there any other public comments for this item?
Mayor, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any discussion on that? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, the public hearing is closed. We're gonna move on to the action item for this. Consider approval of ordinance number 2022-017, rezoning property located at 7488 South Casablanca Drive from regional commercial to multifamily residential, medium to high density to allow for proposed 8-unit townhome project. With the,
Does this motion include I feel like you were gonna mention it, it kinda got cut off. Does this include the development agreement?
That's, I just talked briefly about the development agreement and the condition that I would recommend in there.
Yeah.
That there be a change that does not reference trash collection off of Casablanca. There was an inconsistency in there.
So if we approve as written and mention
that would come in the next motion for the development agreement.
Got
So
it.
this one's specifically for the rezone, because if the rezone failed, then there's no reason to talk
got it.
about the development.
Okay, so we don't need to do the development agreement until
Not yet,
later.
I
I just want the audience to understand that it's not mentioned, but they'll still be tied together, correct?
Just one question, if I could. So this block wall, can we enforce that in the development agreement?
It's an agreement if they agree to that, yes. And it complies with our zoning ordinance.
So in the action item, we would have to include the trash not be on Casablanca, and I will say that 5 different ways, by the way, by the time this is done. Casablanca. And the wall must be 8-foot masonry wall, but, or is that too much?
It may be, I mean, we haven't had that as part of the discussion with them
Yeah.
on this development agreement that's proposed today. So, and it would have to be agreed upon.
Right. But we have had the garbage discussion with them.
I don't
Yeah, in
know.
the report
Yeah, it's right there.
where I called that out, they were aware of that, and they sent an email and said they were fine with that, they understood, so.
is there,
It's the last sentence in section 1.2 that has to be changed.
is
So
there,
I guess my question is if we can't enforce the block wall without going back and getting them to agree to it, right?
We would pass maybe the development agreement tonight, include that, and that would be the document that they'd be operating under, and if they don't meet those requirements, then the project can't go forward.
I don't think that's true, because the motion is to rezone it.
Well, no, this is separate, but when we get to that, if we get to that action item, then those conditions of the development agreement, if a brick wall is in there, then they would have to.
No,
Because if we rezone, it's rezone, and then we have to have a
Correct.
development agreement. If they don't agree to the development agreement, they
Then
can
it's
just do
still
whatever they
rezoned.
want. So,
Yeah, then you're right, it's still rezoned at that point.
So the only way, I'm just trying to get just understand the logic, I guess. So if we do the rezone and we did the development agreement, then, and they didn't agree to it, then the rezone would be there, but the development agreement wouldn't, and they could do whatever they want.
And so I would, if you wanted to do the rezone, I would make it contingent or not in effect until a development agreement is
Condition
reached.
precedent on the, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that would solve it then.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all I'm asking, is how that works.
Yeah, that's what I would recommend you do if you wanted to
Yep.
make it contingent.
If that's what the council feels that really needs to be done.
And if the development agreement is not reached, then the
rezone's
rezone
not
doesn't go
effective.
into effect.
Okay.
I would entertain a motion on that, and if someone would like to make it.
So I can try, I guess. I move that we approve the request for rezone condition precedent on approving a development agreement for property located at 7488 South Casablanca Drive from the RC to the RM 25 zone, consistent with the findings noted in the summary report through adoption of ordinance number 2022-0-17.
Sounded good to me. Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Rory, will you call roll?
Councilmember Glover?
Aye.
Robinson? Aye. Brown?
Yes.
Gettle?
Yes.
And Sperry?
well, I guess it doesn't matter. So, I mean, I know there's some that they're not happy with it, but yeah, I think it's better than what the other options are. You know, I want to talk about the development agreement. I'll vote aye.
I do think that overall, the project is gonna make the place safer than the way it is right now. I think
Less likely there'll be like graffiti and stuff.
there'll be more people there to protect the property. Right now, all we have is empty house that people use whenever they want. And I think that's where a lot of the crime's coming from. So I think in the reality, as far as the safety goes, I think that it will become a safer place.
Yeah, I mean, the property as is a safety issue. And those, I mean, I live on the south end of this neighborhood too. And, you know, we had some issues with the property there in Sandy, and it redeveloped, and it's really helped clean up that part of it, so.
And the other thing is, I mean, it would be wonderful to be able to have single-family homes there, but the reality is, it's not gonna happen. It just will not happen because the property is too expensive, and single-family homes, you'd have million-dollar homes to go on there or more, and it's just not gonna happen.
Okay, with that, motion carries.
Motion, yeah.
I'm gonna put a 3-minute timer on all of you here in a minute, because we're already at almost 8 o'clock.
I've never violated that.
Yeah, ever. Just as a reminder to everybody, if you are interested in staying for that action item of the actual agreement, we are going to get through our public hearing and then go to public comment. Since we only have another hour and 15 minutes, there is a chance we have to table that item for a future meeting. Or did I
Let's
skip
move on fast.
Okay. All right. Moving on to our second public hearing of the night. Consider final subdivision approval for a 2-lot split located at 968 Casa Rojo Street in the single-family SF1 zone. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Okay, yes, so this is for a final subdivision kind of over in that same area, just a little more south on Casa Roja. So it is just to subdivide what's currently kind of a rather large lot for that zone into 2. This is their proposed final plat. Staff finds that they do meet all applicable code sections, and all of the reviewing departments have given it their approval, and Planning Commission also forwarded it with a recommend of approval to the council. There was one condition that they install trees along their street frontage, which is pretty standard for subdivisions in that zone, so that is included as well, and the recommended motion has remained the same as included in your staff report. Any questions?
So I'm familiar with this property, and, I mean, so it's being divided, and the plan is single family, not a, because I noticed something in the packet that it's single family duplex overlay, right? Do we have any
It
plans?
is
I
not
know?
duplex overlay.
Okay,
Just single family.
all right. Okay, that addresses it then.
Any other questions for Elizabeth? Okay, thank you. All right, this is open for public comment. If you'd like to make a public comment on this item, please step forward to the microphone, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes. Are there any public comments?
Mayor, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing.
Did you want to hear from
Any-
the applicant, or no?
Did we want to hear from the applicant?
Does the applicant want to say anything? Yeah. He does not.
He does not. Okay. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Close out the public hearing. Moving on to our action here. Consider approval for final subdivision for a 2-lot split located at 968 Casa Rojo Street in the single-family SF1 zone.
Mayor, I move that we approve the final subdivision located at 968 Casa Roja Street with the findings and conditions noted in the staff report.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Rory, will you call roll?
Councilmember Robinson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Gettle?
Yes.
Sperry?
Aye.
And Glover.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. All right, moving on to public comments tonight. Any person wishing to comment on any item not otherwise scheduled for a public hearing may address the city council at this point by stepping to the microphone and giving their name for the record. Again, there will be a strict 3 minutes, trying to get out of here in 1 hour and 9 minutes. But if you would like to make any general public comments, you may step to the microphone and state your name.
I apologize. I live in Midvale. I don't think it's a ghetto.
Will you just state your name again?
Chad Thomas. So I apologize to everyone because that was not my intention whatsoever. I've been involved with a kid threw something at my car, and I got his license plate, and I called the police to do the right thing. The driver of the car said he didn't know the kid who was in his car who threw it. The runaround to try and find out who the driver is so I can make an insurance claim on my damaged vehicle has been quite an experience. And I think that, and the police officer that came over there, he was from Magna, and he really wasn't interested in my case. He was just trying to get off the clock. I love the police. I'm a huge supporter of them. I will pay more in taxes to make sure that we're fully staffed, and I think that anyone would. But the experience that I've had dealing with this, and it's not over. I can't even get a redacted police report to file an insurance claim on the driver's vehicle for damaging mine. It's very strange. And that's how it starts with these kids. Yesterday it was a coffee, tomorrow it's a rock, the next day it's a drive-by shooting, and there has to be some level of accountability here. And so I support the police. I think if we need to pay them more, let's pay them more, Marcus, and let's get more officers on duty so we don't have a guy from Magna coming in and filling in who just doesn't care about the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thanks.
I think I saw Chief Thomas nodding in the back there.
You can come up. And please just state your name.
My name is Cassandra Sharp. I recently made public comment with regards to a particularly prominent and shocking mural a few weeks ago. To my knowledge, nothing has been done about the sexual nature of this mural, which shows an apparently naked male and female looking as if they are experiencing ecstasy. Just to recap, this mural is on the south side of the building of 7607 South Main Street. One of the female's large breasts is clearly visible. I apologize again for being explicit, but just because the nipple is barely covered doesn't make it okay for public view. The artist's shading of this area hints at the nipple not even being fully covered. There's been some debate that the breast is actually the man's bulging bicep and not a naked breast. However, 3 things are apparent. 1, a bulging muscle is generally not perfectly round, especially not when the arm is extended and the muscle not flexed. Second, there is no forearm connecting the supposed bulging bicep to the man's hand. Third, his hand is coming from behind the female, so his bicep and forearm have to be behind her, not in front of her torso. So, to the discerning eye, it is indeed a breast, not a bulging muscle. It is my opinion that the artist was purposefully trying to create confusion with an optical illusion in order to get away with painting nudity. When driving by or at a quick glance, it makes a person question their own perception and ask, did I really see what I thought I saw? No, it couldn't be. In addition, to me, the face looks more childlike than womanly, which gives the impression of a naked child riding piggyback on a naked man. Other aspects of the female are not to scale, particularly her arms, which further give the impression of the female being a child rather than a woman. Is this more of the optical illusion trickery? Midvale hosts many Main Street festivities that attract families with children to Main Street, such as the upcoming Halloween trick-or-treat event. I find it disturbing that this objectionable mural will be in full view of the children that will be attending this and other events on Main Street. We should not allow nudity, even in art form, on our historic Main Street. We want it to be a wholesome, family-friendly place for our children and grandchildren to visit. I would suggest that the community standards be revisited and rewritten to prohibit sexually provocative art such as this. And I pose this question to the council. Before the trick-or-treat event, can you have this mural covered until the city decides how to handle this hot topic? Thank you. And I would like to have my statement be on the public record.
It will be. Thank you.
Okay, should I give that to you, please?
Speaking for myself in response to your question, I don't have any appetite to cover up the mural. I think a lot of what you said is looking into your own perspective of that mural, and it's not entirely shared by the rest of Midvale City.
I will just say, whatever comments anybody wants to make, you can come up here and ask us. But since this is general public comment and not an item on our agenda, we as a council cannot take action on anything in this meeting regarding that. Just so you're aware, you can ask us to, that's fine, but we can't do that. Go ahead and please state your name.
Hi, I'm Brady Bowden. Appreciate you guys and each one of you and all that you do for our city. I just want to comment on the same thing with the same mural that was brought up. I had a personal experience with this where I was scrolling through Facebook and saw this post of all these amazing, vibrant, colorful murals that were put up by the city to beautify our surroundings, and was just amazed. I really will admit that I was not looking forward to some of these murals because I had no idea what they would be. But when I saw them, I was really actually amazed. And having taken many art classes, I was excited about the colors and different things that I saw until I hit this mural where it was the complete opposite of all the other ones. It was dark, it was sexually explicit and pornographic in nature. And as a parent of 4 kids, it made me cringe. It made me absolutely cringe to think that we would display something like that directly in the heart of our community. It is completely below and beneath the standards of our community, in my opinion. And, I looked at that and I thought, okay, we go to movies in the park all the time. Would they ever show a movie with a scene like that at movies in the park? My hope is that would never happen. And yet we have a standing image that we get passed by any time that's displaying those exact things that I would not want my children to see at all. Public nudity, by definition, is the state or fact of being naked. I could not walk down the street and with the appearance of that mural. I could not do that. It's against the law. In fact, those characters have no clothing on whatsoever. Pornography is defined in the Webster Dictionary as the depiction of acts in a sensual manner, such as to arouse a quick, intense emotional reaction. So while that is subjective, you can't determine what's being brought up or how that's affecting those viewing it, other than we know that the content of the nature is pornographic. So at the same time, I don't know, I'm curious to know if this is, it's, in my opinion, it's the distribution of obscene content to minors, if they're seeing that, which is against federal statutes, which would be very concerning in that respect. So I would urge the council to do something more immediately than waiting and sitting on their hands with it, because it does affect those of this community. It says a lot about who we are, which I don't think that mural depicts who we are. I think you guys and everything you do depict who we are, and the people that put you in those seats depict who we are, and I don't think that represents that. So I would urge you to take the time to carefully consider that and help us define who we are as a city by what we display. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think one thing that should be clear, because sometimes this gets confusing or whatever, that people need to understand is this is a private building, right? So unlike the city park that, we're sort of in control of a city event where we would do a city movie or something along those lines, that would be a city-sponsored sort of event. This is a private building that, the state very much likes to sort of protect private businesses and makes their decisions. And the other big issue we sort of have is it butts up against what I would say is a First Amendment issue. that our other attorney, or Lisa, would probably agree with, right? So I understand people are asking for action. I hope people understand that it's not what you think it is, right? We can't just go over there and paint over it. It's not our building. We can't just say, hey, you know, for instance, I reached out to the Facebook administrator today and said, hey, how many people have seen that post that Wayne posted? And it's already at about 1,800 people. And she thinks that's trending towards the entire group, which is about 5,500. And it seemed like a vast majority of the people did not think it was pornographic, right? Or sexual in nature. So we're sort of putting a lot of resources towards something that I don't know if we can even do anything, right? At least for that particular image. And so that's something we sort of need to keep in mind when calling for action on something that I don't know if it's actionable without the city getting in trouble. And as stewards of sort of our finances and stuff along those lines, that's something that should be considered, and I hope, you know, that could be understood.
I think, Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, the most that we could do if we wanted to do anything, and again, I don't want to do anything about this mural. I think it's an artistic statement that stands on its own. But if the council wanted to do something, we could perhaps nudge the business owner to renegotiate with the artist to replace the mural if that private business owner wanted to do so.
We could ask.
We can ask anything for any time.
We have no authority. We have no authority.
Midvale
to
paid
change
for the
it.
painting, correct?
We reimburse a portion of a vast majority of it the owner paid for, right? From my understanding, and sort of signaled we were probably gonna do it anyways when I sat in on the meetings.
Yes, we did reimburse a portion of it. The contract did not have a stipulation that would say that we could go back and tell them to remove it. It is, as has been stated, the art is private property on private property. And so the most that we can do, as has been stated, would be to ask for there to be a change to that. Now, when the decision was made that we would reimburse on that, at that time, because this has been up now for about since April or May, we have not had any complaints about it. At the time, there were some modifications that were made to the painting and on the sort of leading up to it to get it into a state that we felt met within the guidelines. The view from staff at the time for approving the reimbursement was that this particular, there is, while there are definitely, I mean, the beautiful thing about art is that there's definitely a lot of opinions that people can have about it. When we looked at it, it did not expressly violate any of the conditions of the agreement and the application that was filled out, and that is why we did reimburse for a portion of this particular art project. Furthermore, just adding on to that a little bit, is that the council has expressed its interest for a long time in us having a mural program and has supported the idea that there be art on Main Street and that art have diverse viewpoints and provide a variety of different types of painting that could be done for that mural. We felt that this fit into that. We have had success on Main Street due to the art that we have put on there with it, the events and things that we have done. This mural actually superseded the mural festival that occurred and was part of a different program that was approved by the council. And I can appreciate that there are many different viewpoints on this painting. I think that it goes into speaking to, I don't know, something about the painting that, the mural, that there are so many different views on it. And I think that's oftentimes, I know there'll be views that what I say next isn't going to make much sense, but I think that it does speak to the quality of art when it can create discussion within the community about what is art, values, and all of those things. And so while there are definitely people who have expressed negative opinions about that, I think the mural itself, in combination with the other ones, have achieved the objectives of the program, and that is why there was some reimbursement of it.
To clarify that, Matt, when we approved the mural in the first place and being part of that program, we didn't have that image, right? So, I mean, we made a decision based on other work that was shown. We didn't have that, right?
We had the components of the, that ended up in the mural were presented, not the final picture. On the day that the mural did go up, though, we were presented with a version of that. We asked for some modifications to be made, and that ended up with the final product that we have.
In fact, that image was emailed to us, the council, prior to it being finished, the exact image that is up there now with some modifications. I mean, you can't, I'm not a muralist, but you can't paint exactly, you know, what you've shown to people. But that did come to us as part of the RDA meeting that we had later that night. And at that point, to my knowledge, no council member nor the mayor raised any objections to that image.
Up until the recent.
That's not correct.
Up until the recent comments, the only specific comments on that were negative that we received was that it had a religious appearance and was concerns about.
And I think that was from me, actually.
So I was on the committee that was with it, and I can tell you that, you know, Wade also was with me. And the way it was sort of presented to us was that image was sort of there with a bunch of other sort of thoughts that would kind of go with it. So we thought it would be a little more, in my mind, you know, like the new one that's sort of going up in Overstock, that's sort of a collection of different things, right? And I didn't realize that it was like, here is, you know, this one part of it was there, because if it had a bunch of the other elements, I think it would look a little more magical or more mythical, and people would probably feel differently about it and use sort of different adjectives on it, you know. But I still don't think that raises the sort of the First Amendment issues or the content of it. So that's not, you know, it's a very layered, complex topic between, you know, the role of government plus me being on the committee, seeing, you know, how the process played out. And so, yeah.
Just to rebut that, I mean, we did, you know, that nobody raised anything. When that image was emailed, I did send a response saying, I'm not gonna get into a debate of what is or what's art, you know, what is or what's not art. But I did say, for me, I don't think that image portrays what I would want on Main Street in Midvale. Now, I didn't get any comments back, but so there was an issue raised.
We are still in public comment. Go ahead, Wayne, and just make sure you state your name for the record.
Wayne Sharp. So now you guys you've triggered a lot more things that I'd actually like to talk about. That I had a few things written down. So I have some buildings in Midvale. So apparently, according to the First Amendment rights, I can put whatever I want on there as long as it meets your community standards. And I have not. In the last meeting we talked about this. I was told there was a community standards, and it was verified by Matt. Yes, this passes the community standards. I've requested a list of the community standards, haven't received anything. Bryant has tried to help me by sending me something that I will read off of the Midvale City mural request. I think I have enough time if I can even get it big enough to see it again. This is number 3 under the mural requirements. Before I read this, apparently I'm pretty infamous now on the Midvale Facebook page. I thought it was 170 comments in the last 2 days, but apparently it's 1,800 or something.
Well, 1,800 views.
Oh, okay, and there's over 170 comments in 2 days, and if not, and you know, as usual, most comments are negative, which they are. But I do want to thank Amanda Hollinger, who owns the page. It's not a Midvale page. Midvale City doesn't own the page. Amanda Hollinger does, and she runs it. I think she does a great job, and I appreciate her reminding people of the rules if you're going to be part of that Facebook page. Thank you for that. And because of some of the comments, I didn't read them, but I've been told I do stand corrected. I use the words sexually explicit, which this mural is not, by definition, explicit, though it is sexually oriented, which I do not think is appropriate to be in public view of our Main Street for family-oriented activities. Also, it might not be porn by definition, as I stated before. So I do stand corrected on those couple of things. The community standards, I'm still waiting for that. In the last meeting, you made it apparent that the council has decided, since I was on the council, what are the community standard? Where's it written? I want that, I would like to, and other people would like to have that. Now, as far as number 3 on the mural requirements, this is the application to get a mural. The mural's visual imagery shall be appropriate for all audiences. It's not. Some people it is, but it's not for all. I would dare say the majority of the people in Midvale would not think taking their kids to there is appropriate, especially based on those that I've talked to and those of my own kids. The imagery shall not reflect partisan politics or contain sexual or religious content. This is sexual. Go look at it. It looks like a woman's breast, whether you agree it does or not. And if you don't think it does, then I'm sorry if you don't know. And then also, look at the naked man's hand is coming around the back of the female, ready to fondle her bum, which is bare. If that is not sexually oriented, I don't know. I guess they could have actually been in the act of sex, and then we could call it sexual. So based on number 3, that could be, the city can take action and say it does not meet the mural requirements. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Wayne. Just to be clear, that what you do have on there is our community standards, where it says, I've got to pull it up right here. It says mural requirements on there. That is the community standards. It doesn't say that there, but that's what it is. Yeah. And please just state your name for the record.
My name is Norman Stevens. Appreciate the council and the mayor and city manager and other staff. I had no idea this mural was here until I read a text today. But I do recall my wife during the car show expressing to me afterwards, when she had a 7-year-old granddaughter, she said there was a mural on Main Street that in her view was highly inappropriate. And so after receiving this text today, I decided to drive by and take a look at it. I, for one, am shocked. And I am surprised that a lack of courage we have here. Is money the issue? This is immoral. It was, I think his name is Potter Stewart, a Supreme Court Justice of the United States in 1964, when they were trying to define pornography. And he, for one, just paraphrasing, had a difficult time himself trying to figure it out. What is the definition of pornography? And this is where you find the man that had the famous words is, maybe I cannot define it, but I know it when I see it. And you women and gentlemen here know it when you see it as well. We may not be able to define it as hard porn, but certainly we can define it as soft or anything related unto it, and it's inappropriate. That 7-year-old granddaughter had to be exposed to that. If this same image with these two same people that are depicted on this mural were on that park right behind me, and they were there, literally with the same nudity, what's the difference? With the same nudity, the same amount of covering, and my wife's granddaughter was there in our backyard looking to the west and seeing this depiction. Would you think it appropriate? No. In fact, a police officer would be called and have them escorted away. And yet we depict it right on a building and have the excuse that it's private property. We need to take courage and stand up for what is right, and we know what is right. Let's do what's right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jake, our screen has gone out here. Oh, it's back up now.
You just have to stand right there.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm James Phillips. I don't know what's going on. On the way over here, I heard a song on the radio by Ozzy Osbourne, Crazy Train, and that's what I feel like I'm here, is on a crazy train, that we're even having this discussion. everyone keeps talking about what is pornography. The definition that I have here is printed or visual material containing the explicit description or display of sexual organs or activity intended to stimulate erotic rather than aesthetic or emotional feelings. This is the first I've heard since this has been, I've never heard anyone say it's sexual. I've never heard anyone complain about it. I've looked at it a dozen times. I don't see anything sexual about it. People say there's a breast. A woman's breast is not a sexual organ. I hear people bringing this up, saying that their children can't. People are making this sexual. It's not sexual. We all have different opinions of what we like and stuff like that, but art can be beautiful. Who's going to go to the Statue of David and say, oh, that's porn, we need to take that down? We need to be smarter. Every little thing doesn't need to be sexual. We can appreciate the beauty of human beings. And I appreciate the artist. I just wish as many people that were responding on Facebook would respond to political issues as this. That people would show up and vote and do these things instead of talking about something that we shouldn't even be talking about today. So, thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
Hi, I am Stacy Phillips. As I wrote on Facebook tonight, and it was in response to one of Brian's comments, but I think it's true. Art is about creating. It's meant to provoke people, and it's to be an expression of the artist, and it's to make people think and to contemplate. And sometimes the creative process can take you to new ideas, and in the heat of the moment, as they are putting the mural on the wall, they may come up with a new idea, and they may go with it. If the city wants Main Street to be an art center, then so that we can showcase art from around the state, from around the city, we need to allow people to do their art. We may not like it, we may not agree with it, but this certainly is not pornographic. And yes, it may not fit into what Midvale is, but really, do we want cookie cutter? Do we want the same old thing that you're gonna see downtown, that you're gonna see in Bluffdale? We want something different if we want this to be an art center. We need to applaud that. I've had many people at the theater that I work with, artists in many different shapes and forms. I had them look at this, and people did not see porn. They did not see a woman's breast. One woman saw a woman putting her arms around a man, trying to shield him from the dark figure to the side. You know, I can't see close enough if she's putting, a wrap around it, but I think it's a shoulder and it's not a breast. That's how I interpret it, but that's me. And you're gonna see something else, and you're gonna see something else. I think we need to take the opportunity to talk about art in all forms, because I'll tell you one thing, down in Sugar House, not everyone loved that whale tail, but I thought it was cool, So, yes, let's take art and make it happen. It is about expression, and it's culturally appropriate, because we are, in fact, diverse. So thank you.
Thank you. Other public comments? Okay, I do know that we had comments submitted online, and David, you want to speak first, and then we'll go to, if we've still got in-person comments, that's fine. I know we have online ones, and so we'll go to those afterwards.
Okay, I'm Davey Bird, and first I just wanted to thank the council for respecting the difference between feeling offended and actual obscenity. So thank you for understanding the difference. I wanted to say thank you for everybody who came out to the library today. We had support from a lot of our citizens to recognize how valuable that library is. And I would like to just thank you all for that. Thank you for the support. In the next couple of months, we really need that. And we really want to be bringing a really great, valuable resource to your community. And we want to protect your right to read and your right to anything, really. So please come to the library if you haven't. We invite you out there. And anyways, I'm going to say it again. The world right now is really, really divided on this comment about censorship specifically. And I am very pleased to see a council who is willing to step away from the emotion for a minute and realize that everybody does have different reactions to comments, to information, to displays, to art. But I see a real value here. I'm very pleased to see that you're willing to consider first. All of your students have different feelings, and I'm very impressed to see you respecting those, even if you don't agree with those opinions. But what I would say is let's be very careful about the idea of creating a community standard that does not allow specific content that is not illegal. Let's just be very, very careful about that. That is a very slippery slope. And I don't see this council doing that, but I just wanted to say I appreciate you for not doing that. And thank you.
Thank you, Davey. Okay, Rory, we'll go online.
Okay.
This is Rory's favorite part, where she gets to read a lot of things.
Yes, it is. The first one that we received was from Michelle Merkley, stating, I wanted to reach out about the mural. It's a piece of art. There is nothing sexually explicit about the painting. I studied art for a very long time, and I appreciate art on a daily basis, so I would consider myself a good source. It seems to me that Mr. Sharp needs to be educated on what child pornography actually is, rather than him and his wife not liking the piece and trying to turn this into a morality issue. The second one I have is from Alexi Y. I'm out of town, but just wanted to say that finding anything pornographic or inappropriate about this controversial...
Roy, sorry, I'm going to interrupt for just 1 second. I think that if I did not read these in advance, and I think that I'm not sure if anything is being said negative about any other individual person. Maybe we should be judicious in how that is, if there are those kinds of things in there.
Got it. Okay, so this one from Lexi Y. I'll start over. I'm out of town, but just wanted to say that finding anything pornographic or inappropriate about the controversial mural on Main Street is insanity. The art style is different than what I call my favorite, but it's beautifully done and is incredibly artistic. Another one from Ashley Thomas. I just wanted to voice support as a business owner on Main Street and a resident of Midvale and mother raising her child here in town for the mural in question. Art is subjective and not everyone is going to like the same thing, but to call the art in question pornographic or suggestive seems slanderous. It's a beautifully done piece created by a talented artist who took great care in his work and adds a variety to the murals of many different tastes and aesthetics that appear on Main Street. I'm glad to see that the art on Main Street is diverse and encompasses all tastes with something for everyone, not just the restrained and limited scopes of a vocal few. We are lucky to have such a gallery free and open to the public. The next one is from Lynette.
Read it a little louder. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I'll scoot closer to the microphone. This one is from Lynette Phillips. Dear Councilmember Gettle, I absolutely love every mural that has been put up in Midvale. I see nothing wrong with any of them. Mural that Anyway, the mural is not pornographic. Please do not censor beautiful art in our community. The next one, Cameron Olson. The mural in question is absolutely nothing sexually explicit in any way. We can't make a decision based off of someone's feelings being hurt based off of organized religious beliefs. Saying the artist's approval was duped is a joke, especially when the artist holds a legitimate business license. Is it because it's done with graffiti and he was paid? What's the real issue here? The City Council needs to truly understand that falsely saying this is sexually explicit will backfire beyond belief. Stay true to your word and what the art mural actually is. Another one from Elisa Norton. I would like to voice my opinion of support for the mural that will be up for comments during tomorrow's meeting. I do not find the image in question to be of sexual nature, but rather a beautiful artistic rendering. The downtown murals are all fabulous, all very different in subject matter, and provide a much-needed cultural boost to the downtown area. The last one is from an Elizabeth White. Hi, I just saw the post on the Midvale Residents Facebook page. I drive by that mural on my work commute and have never once thought pornography, let alone the very huge reach to get to a child pornography. There really isn't anything suggestive about the mural. I can't believe this is even an issue. Art is subjective. You don't have to like all of it. However, you don't get to label the art you don't like as obscene. That is all I've received.
Thank you. Last chance for in-person public comments. And please just state your name for the record.
I don't know whether any of you know me or not. The older members of the council from years ago would probably, but my name is Andrew McCullough. I'm an attorney in Midvale. I'm also I'm sure, Midvale's only member of the First Amendment Lawyers Association. And I am not here in any respect to throw my weight around or anything like that. I would like to just indicate that I thank the city and the council and the city manager for being willing to listen to all points of view and willing to look at all points of view. And I'm excited about the possibility of having art in our city. And I just encourage everybody to enjoy it and not to make it controversial when it really isn't. The First Amendment in the United States is one of the most beautiful things. I heard the Prime Minister of England speaking a while back, and he says, in the United States, they can pretty much say anything. Yeah, we can, and there are limits, but this is not close to that limit, and I think all of you know that, and I don't think anybody's going to create any more of a fuss about it. I just really basically want to thank you all for keeping an open mind and for working on trying to make our community a decent place, and that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Last chance. Okay. Well, as mayor, I get to give myself the final word, and I do know that this is a sensitive topic for folks, and I think really as it's been stated here, this really comes down to a First Amendment issue, and there was a comment about, do we just not have the courage to do this? And I think, there's a courage to go and try to get down the mural, and there's a courage to also try to keep it up. But ultimately, this is a First Amendment issue. This is on private land. I know that I've got a neighbor that has a flag that says F Biden right off of center. Maybe many of you have passed that. I care less for if it was to say Biden or Trump or anybody else, but there's plenty of kids I know that walk along that street, and it's got a pretty big adult word on there. And as a city, we don't have the authority to force them to remove that flag, just as we don't have the authority to force a private business to change this mural. So I do know that this is a sensitive topic. I would also just say that as Midvale has consciously made this decision to get into the art space, to encourage art in our city, that comes with a lot of really exciting opportunities to beautify our city, to bring interesting artists here in art and regional visitors. But that also means that these are the kind of issues that we are going to talk about more and more as a city. And I think that's just something both as residents and as council and as staff here, for all of us to be aware of and prepared for as we go down this. And I think ultimately this will be a good thing for our Main Street, having a diverse selection of art on that street that is open for interpretation. And again, just appreciate you all being here and voicing your opinions on that.
Mayor, if I could say one thing, and I know you wanted the last word on that.
That's
You
okay.
can say something after me if you'd like. But I just want to make the distinction as well. There have been a lot of people who have said, just using interchangeable words like sexually explicit, pornographic, and then also child pornography. And I would just like to make the distinction that, calling this sexually explicit, fine if that's what you want to do. But whenever you get into calling it child pornography and you start accusing people of disseminating child pornography, that's a completely different issue that I take exception to. Number one, there is really child pornography out there, and there are really victims of child pornography. And to call that image on the building child pornography is a slap in the face of those people who have been victimized by child pornography. So I would like to caution, this debate can go on forever, but, I would really be careful with the words that are chosen to describe the mural. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we are going to move on in our agenda. There was just public comment. We are going to, let's see, we're at 8:30. And so we're going to move to our consent agenda. So I would ask for a motion from the council to remove items 3, 4, and 5, the mayor report, council reports, and city manager report. And, sorry, we don't have department report on here, apparently, to the end of the meeting, if we have time for it.
Mayor, I move that we move items 3, 4, and 5 to the end of the meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. All right, moving to the consent agenda, just one item here, consider minutes of October 4th, 2022. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Mayor, I motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Rory, will you call roll?
Yes, Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Gettle,
Yes.
Sperry,
Aye.
Glover,
Aye.
and Robinson. Aye.
Okay, perfect. We'll move on to our action items of the night. First one up, consider resolution number 2022 R46 approving a development agreement for property located at 7488 South Casablanca Drive. We'll hear from Adam.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it's just the one earlier, but I'll move to the right spot on it. I realize I wrote both of these together. I combined them in one report with two separate motions, not realizing they would be separated on the agenda as much as they were. So I apologize for that, but we will go to the development agreement. As I stated earlier, so the development agreement and associated site plan, which is Exhibit B in the development agreement, does largely conform to what you as the council asked the developer to do back in 2021 at the meeting at which the rezone was tabled. However, in looking through the development agreement and looking at the Exhibit B, Section 1.2 will need to be amended because Section 1.2 currently states that garbage collection will be serviced off of Casablanca as referenced in Exhibit B. However, when you go to Exhibit B, which is right here, you can see that that does not exist. And so this exhibit does conform to what the council asked as far as no access whatsoever off of Casablanca. And so I'm just asking that that be a condition. Again, I have talked with the developer, the applicant, they agree to that, and that's an easy edit that we can make prior to any signatures. So with that, that's, if there's any questions, I can try to answer those.
So I guess my question is the council want to put that in that they need a block wall consistent with the block wall that's already there in the same height?
Lisa, are you able to restate if that was what the council was looking for, what that would look like here.
In the agreement?
In the agreement that we could, can we make that change here? Do we need to say this agreement, we pass this with the understanding if they agree to this, or do we need to table this and have this come back?
I mean, I think that it would make the most sense and put the developer less under the gun is if they could have a chance to know exactly what we want and have them talk to planning. That would be my preference, but.
I mean, can we just do this in 2 weeks? I mean, are you guys gonna break ground in 2 weeks? I guess is the question.
We are not breaking ground in 2 weeks. My name is Sattar Tabriz. Again, I'm the engineer for the project. We will make the perimeter wall or fencing similar to what is there today with the block wall. We'll make it a hard wall, block wall. 8 foot, I don't even know if we can do 8 foot with the city ordinances. It just makes it look a little funny.
You can go 8 feet. I mean, I would say just match the.
Match the
height that's there,
existing
right? Yeah.
6 foot tall walls that exist out there with block wall. Similar blocks and freshen them up, they all look the same.
The city code, we can approve up to 8. Are there? I think we made that change years ago.
We don't like it for our project. We have to
Councilmember Sharp
coordinate
left, I
with the
think he-
neighbors to the east, and we don't want to have to deal with that.
Will you say the last thing again? I might have, while he was talking about the 8 foot, you were talking, I missed what you said, and I want to make sure everyone else.
Yeah, sorry, I was talking over you.
No,
I
okay.
apologize.
The question was if we could make the perimeter walls consistent with the block wall that exists.
So
And we
basically.
say, yes, we can.
Yeah, that and the same height, whatever it is.
The same height that exists there today, yes.
There is one little wrinkle with that, but I'm sure the neighbors are willing to help you out. And that is the block wall ends, and there's what, 4 or 5 feet, 5 feet of vinyl fence going like east-west direction, and then the vinyl fence cuts north. And that's, I think, on the neighbor's property. So they probably just have to work with the neighbors, but that's what I'm saying. I'm sure all of them that know
When we
that
get
neighbor
into
will work with you.
When we get into the detailed design of the site, we'll work those out. But as a general comment we are making here, we'll make the perimeter wall consistent with the existing block wall, which exists there.
And you're okay if we put that in the development agreement?
Yeah, you can put that in the development agreement.
Okay,
Uh,
that should solve it then, right?
Some questions came up earlier on fire hydrants and all that. That's not even under our control. There's a building code issues. We don't know what that all means. I mean, what is that gonna come up when we go into the final design?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
With that in a motion, they just need to, they have the amendment here for the section 1.2, and then it would just be adding in the brick wall portion.
Consistent with the existing wall.
It's the only brick wall right there, so you
Okay.
could say kind of, or, block wall. Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's a little red, right? Because the people who developed Royal Ridge were Ute fans. They're Utah fans, so they showed their school pride.
All right. With that, any other questions, comments? I would entertain a motion with those amendments.
I just thought Brian would like that.
Quinn, you want to do that?
The motion?
Yeah.
My 3 minutes are up, so I can't do it. Matt went way over 3 minutes, by the way. I timed him.
I was 2 minutes, 45 seconds. I gotta find the wording, the proposed wording to go with the adjustment. Hold on, let's see the actual. I think I
Hey, Sperry, I'm just gonna remind you, we still gotta go into RDA, so if you could hurry up over there and,
Where is it?
The regular motion is not in our packet.
Oh, that's what it is. The regular motion's not in there.
It is right.
There we go.
And then if you
There
could
we go.
just,
See, we're like news anchors. If you don't put it on the screen where you can read it, I mean, everything just shuts down. So, Mayor, I move that we approve the development agreement for the property located at 7488 South Casablanca Drive with the findings and conditions noting in the summary report, specifically that the wording on section 1.2 be changed as noted by Adam Olson in the presentation, and also that the wall, or the fence or the wall on the south side of the development match the existing block wall that is the southern border of the Royal Ridge Apartments.
Great.
Is that good enough, Lisa?
sounded good. Okay, we have a motion.
second.
And a second. Any discussion on that? Lori, will you call roll?
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Gettle.
Yes.
Sperry,
Aye.
Clever,
Aye.
and Robinson.
Okay, that carries. Thank you. All right, since we are at 8:41, we still need to go into RDA. I'm gonna ask that you're good if we table the board, but we wanna do item C?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna ask that while we're here, we table, action item B. We table the discussion item since, Glenn isn't here anyway, and we fully table the mayor and council reports.
So moved.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Thank you. All right, moving on to item C, consider resolution number 2022 R48, a resolution of the City Council of Midvale City, Utah, declaring its intention to reimburse itself for expenditures incurred in connection with water, sewer, and stormwater infrastructure improvements with proceeds of bonds that it intends to issue and related matters. I can't believe you made me read all that.
So I think that's my
Right.
whole statement about it. Essentially, when the water and sewer funds have bonded for projects that are in the water and sewer master plans, and bond proceeds generally are project-specific and can't be spent until the bonds are issued. Due to labor and supply issues, we'd like to start on projects now. This resolution allows us to reimburse ourselves for bond project costs that are incurred starting when you pass this resolution. So that is the gist of it. Do you have any questions? Then I would like to request that we suspend the rules and that you pass this resolution.
Yeah, Heidi and I are thinking the same thing. Like, to suspend the rules, you gotta be wearing a tie. You
I'm
know,
wearing a
or have-
blazer?
Or have Keith come in your place.
I'm
So
wearing
you
a
can-
blazer instead of a sweater.
That's like the first rule they gave me here, to suspend the rules.
Literally, no.
Keith stands up with the tie on, he's asking us.
Can I
All
use your
right, it's
tie?
8:43. I agree, we need to see a tie, but let's do this.
Mayor, I move that we suspend the rules and
Next
adopt resolution number 2022 R48, a resolution of the City Council, Midvale City, Utah, declaring its intention to reimburse itself for expenditures incurred in connection with water, sewer, and storm infrastructure improvements with proceeds of bonds that it intends to issue in related matters. And I would like to note for the record that reimbursing itself, meaning the city and not the City Council.
Great.
Great, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Rory, will you call roll?
Councilmember Gettle,
Yes.
Sperry,
Aye.
Glover,
Aye.
Robinson. Aye. And Brown.
Yes.
Okay, that carries, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, we are adjourned. All right, it's 8:44. Welcome to the RDA meeting, everyone. Rory, will you call roll?
Yes, Board Member Sperry,
I'm here.
Glover,
Here.
Robinson,
Okay, thank you.
Robinson.
Move-
Here.
All right, but I thought maybe
Here.
I missed something there.
Here.
Thank you. I think we're all here still. It's not even 9 o'clock yet. All right, moving on to the public comments portion of the agenda. Any person wishing to comment on any item not otherwise scheduled for a public hearing on the agenda may address the Redevelopment Agency of Midvale City Board at this time by stepping to the microphone and giving their name for the record. Are there any public comments? Rory, did we have any online comments for the RDA?
No, we do not.
Okay, bummer. I was hoping you'd read again. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Consider minutes of September 6, 2022. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Rory, we call roll.
Board Member Glover,
Aye.
Sperry,
Aye.
Robinson. Aye. Brown.
Yes.
And Gettle.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Thank you. Moving on to our action item of the night, consider resolution number 2022-14, RDA approving artist rental agreement, Art House. You know, mine here still says Nate is doing this, so
I mean, if you want, you can do it. Just
go ahead, Nate.
Okay, I will try and be very quick. But thank you again for your time. I am bringing before the board approval for the Art House program as well as approval of the artist lease term sheet. This is a follow-up to a discussion that was held back in January of 2021, so it's been some time, but during that time, we were able to complete some necessary renovations to the what used to be the old museum to make it usable by artists within the space. So I will just jump into the program overview. So the Art House will house 8 artists who are community-oriented and feel passionately about bringing arts and creative experiences to the Midvale residents. To find these artists, we'll market the space to agency staff who will work with local arts organization to publicize a call for artists. And we will send out an application in which they'll answer some questions about how they choose to engage with the community. The selection process for these artists will take place as follows. There'll be the creation of a Art House selection committee, which will be comprised of the RDA program manager, RDA director, RDA board member, an arts council member, and a community member. The selection committee will be responsible for reviewing the artist application and selecting the tenants. The artists will then be notified of their selection and they'll enter into a lease agreement which will be developed based upon the terms adopted by the board. And then RDA staff and the Art House Selection Committee, along with the artists, will work together to develop a schedule for artist hours which will be conducive to public participation. And you'll see on the next slide the proposed hours that we're hoping to keep. Although if necessary, we may need to modify it based on the availability of the artists, but the idea is that the hours will be during times in which the public would be available to visit and participate with different events. And then I will just quickly go over some other duties that the Art House Selection Committee will have. They will develop and adopt the governing documents, which will regulate the Art House, and they will also be responsible for selecting art which will be displayed in the community art gallery. And then the lease terms, which also kind of goes into how the Art House will operate, are as follows. The rent would be $200 per month, and there'll be 8 studios, but 2 of those studios will be further subsidized based on income levels, just so that we're making the space accessible to all artists. The term will start at 6 months. There'll be an option to renew for an additional 6 months, which will be decided upon by the selection committee. The maximum amount of time that an artist can be in residency there will be for 5 years. Other items on that term sheet is that the residency will be conditioned on a satisfactory background check. Outside of the open public hours, artists will have access to the building 7 days a week, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. Artists will be required to be present in the building for a minimum of 20 hours a week during those hours in which it's open to the public. And that'll include requirements for working weekends and for engaging and participating and or hosting community-oriented events. There'll be a requirement for safety that there should always be 2 or more artists in the space during open hours. And then the last part is that the artist will agree to provide the RDA with 5% of the commission made on all art sold in the Art House. These funds will be used to pay for supplies, workshop materials, and marketing services, which will benefit the artists and the events within the center. And then I guess I should say that based on the fact that a discussion on the art house programming has already been had, and we're excited and ready to get the program up and running, we are asking the board to suspend the rules and approve the artist lease agreement, which has been reviewed and approved by the city attorney. Any questions or concerns?
I have a question about the 5% of commission made on art sold in the art house. If I was an artist, I would just say that I didn't sell anything, or if I did sell something in the art house, I sold it outside of the art house. So how is that going to be monitored, enforced, collected?
Yeah, so that is a ongoing conversation that I've been having with the finance department to see if there is an actual program that we can use which they can process the payments through, and we can look at it and see what has been made. We're still looking for that. It may be the case that it might have to be the honor system and they report to us what it is, but
I would be agreeable to removing that provision entirely, because I don't want it to become prohibitive, one, of the artist who might sell something. You know, I'm assuming there's not going to be like $10,000 pieces in the gallery. You know, I don't want it to be just cumbersome for us to try to collect this money and, you know, cost prohibitive to the artists to pay us 5% of the commission. So assuming that's going to be a nominal amount of money to begin with, I would, again, think that we could remove that provision altogether.
Okay.
There's two components to this. One of them is the artists that are there that are selling their pieces. The other part of it is that we are having a community gallery where there'll be local artists that'll be able to display in the gallery section that aren't actual artists that are working there. Those ones we definitely will be able to track, and that's kind of a tiny, tiny, tiny commission compared to most galleries on just allowing those artists to be able to be there. So I think if the council or the board wants to waive the 5% for our in-resident artists, it's one thing. I would say that we probably want to keep the 5% for the gallery section of the art, if that makes sense.
So with the gallery section, they would not be paying the $200 per month rent?
No, that's just an area where we're allowing local artists to display artwork.
I think that's a good idea then. If we're already getting $200 per month from the in-house in-house residents, then I think we could waive the 5% for them and keep it for the community gallery.
And I will say that the idea behind collecting the funds is the hope is that we can put on workshops and art classes and not have to charge every single time, because
So it'll be 100% earmarked for?
Yes, yeah, so all the funds would go back into the art house. So the idea was that money would either go towards supplies that are just housed there, or again, like if we had an art class, instead of charging every time for an art class, which in that case would be cost prohibitive for people to participate, that these funds could be used to cover the cost of the materials and putting those workshops on. Again, that could be just a revolving thing that we get from the community gallery, if that's the way the board wants to go.
I was inclined to lean towards what Dustin was saying, but the fact that it's just going right back into its own coffer, so to speak, and not to, like, you know, for the city to make money, I kind of think I like it in there. Does that change your opinion at all, Dustin, knowing it goes to that?
I think it's
Councilmember Gettle?
6 of one and a half dozen of another. I think that, I just, there's a and you know, you're an artistic person, and there's a very common phrase as a starving artist, and I just assume that we're not going to, at least in the very beginning, have folks, you know, generating hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars of income. So I think it's going to be nominal, and again, I just didn't want it to be prohibitive to them to be there. But I'm fully comfortable with going the direction of the board.
I mean, if they're getting it back to use it, I mean, you look at it, if I'm gonna get back basically what that 5% is, it's like, why would I cheat myself out of that?
If you're, but.
I mean, there will be people that cheat.
I would
So
argue
if
if you're
it's
just
like
gonna get the 5% back, then why,
But-
create the paperwork?
But it's more for everybody everybody that's in residency there is
Yeah.
gonna get to share it. So it's their, I like it the way it is personally.
I'm okay with the 5% in there just for the fact that eventually it could be used to support more community activity there for bringing more in to see the art that's there. That would be it. But tracking it, I hope we can dial that in somehow or another.
Yeah, and I have having continuing discussions again, also with IT, just so that we can make sure that if there is a program out there that we can use that is safe, then hopefully we can find out what that is, and might just be a work in progress, so.
And not to beat a dead horse, which is a terrible phrase that I never use. I don't know what happened to the horse, but, you know, there's also the idea of, we have no control over what is being sold for the most part, so there could be something that we end up, you know, getting money from that could be objectionable to some other folks in the community.
Sexual nature.
Correct.
I was taking it all the way, Dustin. I just wanted to make
Thank
sure
you.
that was clear.
So I just want to point that out and hope that it's not a problem, but
My,
we shall see.
I just have a 30-second question, hopefully.
Okay.
Is there a plan in place to actually track those 20 hours? How that would work?
Yeah, so I'm gonna put together something that is essentially kind of like a clock in, clock out, but we'll also have, we'll work with the artists to put an actual like work schedule together. One, that's to ensure that we have 2 or more artists, but also to ensure that we are able to have hours that are conducive with having the public come through. So that's something that we'll work with as we're going through the application process and entering into that agreement. And if their availability is like only in the morning and it doesn't quite work out, then this may not be the best fit for that artist because we want something that's very community oriented.
And it'd be very crucial to stick to the hours as best as possible, because the worst thing is when someone thinks that there's an art house and you go to it and it's closed and
Yes,
the business hours say that it's open.
Yes, we
But I
want
know-
something that's very stable.
I know you and your team are very capable of handling this.
All right, it's 8:58. I would ask.
We have 2 more minutes.
A motion.
Mayor, board member, I don't know what you actually
Yeah,
are, but I move that we suspend the rules and adopt resolution number 2022-14 RDA, creating the Art House program and approving the artist lease agreement term sheet.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Rory, will you call roll?
Board Member Brown.
Yes.
Gettle.
Yes.
Glover.
Aye.
Sperry.
Aye.
Robinson. Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, that passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, we may be off.
Any discussion?
No, but I have to make a correction on the record from tonight's meeting. So I was trying to find, I said I'd sent an email and I wanted to get my exact wording. We went back. It was still in my draft, so I never sent it. So Dustin, I apologize for saying it wasn't true. I showed Heidi, I'm like, it's right there. I did it on my phone, thought it went through. Nope, still in my draft, so.
I've done that, and
I
city
wanted to get
manager
it on the
Dahl has done
record
that as
and
well.
apologize. And for the person, I won't say who sent it, because I don't want any hate mail going that way. Apologize.
Now
I-
a motion to adjourn.
I was gonna
No discussion.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Yes, I approve.
Thank you.